China is wasting no time in its pursuit of modernizing its armed forces, investing heavily in advanced weaponry and overhauling its military command structure. With frequent air incursions near Taiwan and reports of successful hypersonic weapons testing, the world has been put on high alert regarding China's military capabilities. Once known for its millet plus rifles approach to warfare, the People's Liberation Army, PLA, has grown into the largest fighting force globally, boasting over 2 million active personnel. China's President Xi Jinping has been instrumental in pursuing a more diplomatically assertive stance, using military might to back up territorial claims and sending shockwaves through neighboring countries and the United States. The growing strength of China's military has caused alarm bells to ring throughout the world, with Yin Dongyu, a Beijing-based analyst on the Chinese military, stating that the US is now viewing China on equal footing. This has led to an increased likelihood of a potential conflict between China and the US in the South China Sea. In response, the US and its diplomatic allies have been regularly sailing through the waters of the Asia-Pacific region to assert navigational rights in international waters. The increasingly loud voices sounding alarm of a potential China-US conflict in the South China Sea mostly came from the fact that the US is now seeing China on equal footing because of the latter's growing army. And that's quite a good indication of China's growing military strength already, said Yin Dongyu. China's pursuit of ever more sophisticated weaponry is a cause for concern, and its rapid modernization of the armed forces is a sign that it is not taking this lightly. The world is on the brink of a potential global conflict, as tensions between the US and China continue to escalate. The US recently announced a new security alliance with the UK and Australia, known as AUKUS, which will result in Australia obtaining nuclear-powered submarines from the United States. This move has angered China, which has been rapidly expanding its naval capabilities and modernizing its military. To add fuel to the fire, the US has also increased weapons sales to Taiwan, which is developing asymmetric warfare capabilities to counter any potential attack from Beijing. President Xi Jinping has been reforming and modernizing the Chinese military, with a particular focus on its navy. This has raised concerns among experts, who warn that a conflict between China and the US over Taiwan or the South China Sea could have catastrophic consequences for the entire world. China's ground force, with over 915,000 active duty troops, has traditionally been its main source of military power in the region. However, the country has been rapidly expanding its navy and investing in high-tech weaponry. In 2019, China unveiled the DF-41 intercontinental ballistic missile, which experts believe has the capability to hit any target in the world. But it was the DF-17 hypersonic missile that caught most people's attention. China has reportedly tested hypersonic weapons twice, causing alarm among US military leaders who have described it as a Sputnik moment, in reference to the 1957 satellite launched by the Soviet Union that signaled its lead in the space race. The world is on the brink of a potential disaster as tensions between China and the US reach new heights. Despite nobody wanting to see a conflict break out between these two superpowers, the possibility cannot be ignored. The South China Sea has emerged as a flashpoint, with China claiming almost the entirety of the sea, despite competing claims by Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei. The stakes are high as the People's Liberation Army Navy, PLAN, has developed into the largest navy in the world. Its submarines have the ability to launch nuclear-armed missiles, and the Chinese government has funded the so-called maritime militia, known as Little Blue Men, to operate in the South China Sea. In a recent development, Beijing has authorized its Coast Guard to fire on foreign vessels, adding a dangerous new dimension to the situation. As Yin, an expert in military affairs, notes, China's military strength has been significantly boosted by a large number of new weapons being added to the arsenal, especially in its navy force. That's where the country's army is showing some of its fastest growth. With the potential for conflict looming, China's military advances have found willing buyers in other parts of the world, particularly with their unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, the Qin drones. China's air force has grown into the largest in the Asia-Pacific region and the third largest in the world. According to a report published by the U.S.'s Office of Secretary of Defense, the Air Force has more than 2,500 aircraft and around 2,000 combat aircraft. Most significantly, China now possesses a fleet of stealth fighter jets, including the J-20, their most advanced warplane. Developed to compete with the US-made F-22, the J-20 represents a major challenge to American air superiority in the region. China's military growth and weapons exports have been escalating at a rapid pace, and the situation demands our immediate attention. As we speak, China is fostering stronger ties with friendly nations by increasing its weapons exports to developing countries. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Algeria have been the top recipients of China's weapons exports over the past decade. China has also become a major player in the drone market, exporting armed unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, to countries like the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. It is no secret that China is filling the void left by the United States, which has banned many countries from purchasing drones due to human rights concerns. This allows China to sell more UAVs to the Gulf and expand its influence in the region. However, China's military might is not without flaws. Despite its arsenal of headline-grabbing weapons and apparent military prowess, the country's command system remains opaque, with endemic corruption and questions over the quality of its recruits. The military's corruption issues stem largely from nepotism and favoritism, and there is a general lack of oversight. Additionally, the private sector's booming growth has led to the military facing recruitment issues, as young and well-educated Chinese citizens are more attracted to the private sector. Consequently, the People's Liberation Army, PLA, relies heavily on conscription, which accounts for about a third of its manpower. The urgency to address China's recruitment issue is mounting as the annual conscription quota remains unfulfilled. Each province is mandated to meet the quota. In response to the delay caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the military has doubled its recruitment and induction efforts in 2020. The situation has prompted the People's Liberation Army, PLA, to allow more second enlistments. Despite accumulating more advanced weaponry in recent years, China's Navy remains inferior to that of the United States. Although China's Navy has more ships, with 360 vessels, the fleet consists mostly of smaller vessels. The PLA only has 2 large aircraft carriers, while the US boasts 11. Furthermore, the lack of training in operating and maintaining newly developed weapons has hindered the Army's ability to reach jointness, the simultaneous commanding of its various forces to achieve military goals, according to a 2018 report published by the US-based think tank, RAND Corporation. While military units conduct exercises that simulate real combat scenarios, some argue that these cannot replace actual combat experience. As if in response, China has intensified military drills near Taiwan, with mass Air Force incursions into the island's air defense zone, and ground drills in southeastern Fujian province, directly across the sea from Taiwan. Shi suggests that a lack of real-world combat experience may not necessarily erode China's military strength. Instead, he believes that technology will be the decisive factor in modern conflict, and China's technology is moving in the right direction. President Xi has taken urgent and crucial steps to address the inadequacies within the military. In a move to strengthen the People's Liberation Army, PLA, he has emulated the US military by reorganizing the Army structure, giving the Central Military Commission, headed by the President, more direct control over the armed forces. As part of the comprehensive reforms, 5 theater commands were established across the country in 2016. The Army, Navy, and Air Force divisions in each region now report directly to the Theater Command, ensuring seamless coordination and effective integration of PLA operations. Corruption has been a significant concern for President Xi, and he has taken stringent measures to curb it within the armed forces. The purge of hundreds of officials accused of taking bribes and engaging in corrupt practices has been instrumental in instilling discipline and accountability within the PLA. To bolster China's military power, President Xi has allocated an even larger defense budget, a clear indication of the country's unrelenting pursuit of military superiority. In 2021, 1.36 trillion yuan, approximately $209.16 billion, was earmarked for defense, a 6.8% increase from the previous year. In April 2023, Beijing released new rules for the recruitment of soldiers in wartime, with veterans listed as a priority, in what a military analyst has described as an enhancement of PLA combat readiness for a war over Taiwan. The regulations, when made public revealed that recruitment should focus on preparing for war and increase efficiency by calling up high-caliber recruits. They are part of an amendment to recruitment provisions passed earlier this month by the State Council and the Central Military Commission, China's highest command body, headed by President Xi Jinping. The amendment will take effect on May 1, 2023. In summary, China's military growth and increasing weapons exports are a cause for concern. It is vital that the world pays attention to China's military activities and takes necessary steps to ensure peace and stability in the region. Check out this video to know how China is changing the world, especially on the economic front. See you there.